got them all flat, so it doesn't make any sense.
Are they completely flat?
Yeah, both of them are. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever that if we had the...
Where's the EQ on mine?
You don't have an EQ. That's the thing.
I thought.
See, look, right
I thought
there.
We had done that.
It's all... Nope. We did that on all of them because that way we can go back and do it in post. Well, it looks like mine actually has a little more treble on it than yours does.
Yeah.
Which...
Okay.
No, it's the same.
It's the same?
But we have the compression's flat's what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I know we were like rambling on about this, but we had a slight technical issue because of user error.
Are you recording?
I am. Welcome back to the Project Gen X podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with...
the ailing, but
I was going to say, I caught Dave so off guard that he just immediately had to go into like convulsions there.
Yeah, I've been sick all week. I'm Big Dave.
Yeah, it's been since we recorded last. It's been a couple of weeks, and I mean that is in. Oh man, has it been a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, this episode. I'm still, we have gotten good feedback about some of our rambly episodes, I guess to call it, for lack of a better term, of where we just kind of turn the microphones on and go with little or no idea where we're headed to. It's like it's the podcast equivalent of jazz.
Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Speaking of which, we lost a jazz icon today. We lost Tony Bennett.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I had not seen that.
Yeah. Tony Bennett passed away.
In his 90s?
He was in his 90s.
Yeah, I figured. Wow.
He was dealing with I think it was Alzheimer's.
Oh, yeah.
And he evidently passed away at home this morning.
Well, I mean, Tony Bennett was never quite my...
I like Tony Bennett.
It's all right. I mean, but those crooners, him and Sinatra and all Dean, and it's just never my bag, man.
I get it.
Don't get me wrong. There's some stuff here and there. I thought it was cool back in the early '90s when Tony Bennett did Unplugged. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, all right, that's awesome.
And the duets albums that he did with all the different artists.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, actually,
I have heard some of it. It is what it is. So.
No, I like all that stuff, but I like a wide variety of music.
I do as well, but that style of music just never called me. Like I said, a few songs here and there. They're all those artists that we talked about there. I have a song or two I really like by them.
I get it.
But I can't sit down and listen to a whole album of it or anything. So, So now that we got through. That's it. Thanks for bringing the whole thing down, Dave. No.
That's what I'm here for.
This episode, our topic, such that it is, I'm just calling comfort food.
Okay.
We can talk about legitimate comfort food, but I mean this across the boards of...
Like things that you go back to.
The things that you will go back to when you've had a bad day or you're not feeling well or you just don't want to get out of bed on a Sunday or something, whatever, whether it's a book or a album or television or a movie or certain food or certain places you like to go or whatever it is, of just like these are the things that it's just really comforting to be able and go and stay in that place for a little while before you have to get back to the real world, All
right.
Do you want to, I know you're winging it. Do you want to go first or do you want me to kind of set
it's your topic. All
right.
Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
I have a little bit of a list.
I'm totally winging it.
And I say a little bit because I legitimately have a little bit of a list. And this is going to be, I know this, once the coffee kicks in, you can hear it in the background being made.
Yeah, you'll get hyped.
Maybe this will be a little more exciting than it is right now, but it's been a long day and I have not had nearly enough caffeine. This is also kind of going to be very rambly. I can go ahead and tell you that right now. I know this just from my own when I was starting to put some ideas down together on this one. So.
Lots of derailings of ideas.
Absolutely. I'm going to go my first one. And I'm going into the realm of television.
Okay.
Last year we did an episode about Firefly because it was the 20th anniversary, And I, this week, rewatched Firefly and Serenity again. I had not... Last year when we did the episode was the first time I had rewatched, the show and movie in many years.
Okay.
It used to kind of be about once a year, because it's not. I mean, it's what 14 episodes in a movie. It's not that much timed. I mean, it's like you can do it over a couple. If you're really bored one day and have nothing else to do whatsoever, you could plow through all of it in a day without any problems.
Yeah.
But it's, hey, you can do this over 2 or 3 nights or however long at your, and I think I went through it in about 3 nights or 3 or 4 nights maybe. I think I watched Firefly over 3 nights and then watched Serenity on the 4th night or something,
Okay.
And it's interesting going back and rewatching that show after not watching it as often as I used to where you kind of give yourself a little bit of distance. Between, when I used to watch it, like I said, about once a year or so, sometimes more, it kind of depended, It was one of those things that I knew the material so well that it was kind of like just, like listen to your favorite album for the 100th time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know that at this point where the guitar comes in and this is the blah, 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 it so well. But then whenever you don't listen to it for a long time, and you come back and listen to it again, it's like you still know where all that stuff is.
But you hear new stuff.
But you start realizing some things that because you had listened to it and become so familiar with it, you were just kind of glazed over top of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the same here, with several things. And also being a little older and looking at it with different eyes, and I really enjoyed that. That's just one. I mean, it's like what I actually had written down here under television was syndicated television.
Oh, yeah, very much.
And what I mean by that, and I tried to put it together as best I could, and I can't remember exactly. There was a time for a long time in the very late 90s all the way through the early 2000s, and I think even a little bit into the early 2010s, where TBS in the afternoon, starting about 2 o'clock, I guess, or 2 or 3 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
It was they had basically a 4-hour block of syndicated television that was... I know for a fact 2 of these things. The other 2 kind of moved in and out of, but the third one I know was on for a long time. The other one there were several things that moved through that. But it was a show I really did not like a whole lot. Or it was, first off, it was Home Improvement. Okay. There would be back-to-back episodes of Home Improvement. And then the next hour, like at 3, would be, or maybe they came on at 3 and it was 4. It was, they started it at 3 o'clock. It was that. And then at 4 o'clock, it was, no, I got that wrong. It was 2 o'clock. I take that back. It's 2 o'clock was Home Improvement. At 3 o'clock was, I know Yes Dear was in that block for a while, but they moved several things in and through it, during that time period, including what was on at 4 for the longest time, which was, and of course now it's completely
slipped out of your head.
Slipped out of my mind. Was it Still Standing? The one with David Spade and Wendy Malick and
I don't know. It was a David Spade TV
It was
show.
He wasn't even a main character. He was like a supporting character in it. Hold on. It came on like at the very end of the 90s into the very early 2000s when he was riding high on all that Joe Dirt stuff and everything. And like I said, I know it was him. I know Wendy Malick was Just Shoot Me. That's what it was.
Oh, okay. That's very much different from Still Standing.
Yeah, Still Standing was a whole. I just got that. It was Laura Laura San Giacomo, Enrico Colantonio, George Segal that was played the dad or the grandfather on the Goldbergs, Wendy Malick, David Spade. Brian Posehn was on it. He was a recurring character on that. I mean, it was a good show. That was Just Shoot Me was in there for a long time. And then the 5 o'clock hour would be Seinfeld. And like I said, the 2 middle hours kind of rotated a few things through over time, but I know from the mid 96, 97, somewhere around in there until I think Seinfeld still comes on at 6 o'clock. Or actually, no, because now it's Big Bang Theory has taken over that spot. But I think Seinfeld still comes on like somewhere in there or something, But Home Improvement's been off for probably a decade now. But I mean, it had a really good, like almost 20-year run.
Yeah.
And I know Just Shoot Me was on there for the longest time. Yes Dear was in that spot for a while, which I hated that show, but it was there, and I would watch it because it was like, look, I know no matter what else is going on in my day, at 2 o'clock I'm going to get two episodes of Home Improvement, and at 6 o'clock or at 5 o'clock I'm going to get 2 episodes of Seinfeld. What's in the middle, I don't care. It's just getting through all the way through that. That's just going to like numb my mind down to nothing. And just
it's kind of funny that you mentioned Big Bang Theory, because that's kind of become one of my new comfort shows.
Yeah, and that's
it's like if there's nothing else on, or I just need something to watch, I can always count on TBS having a couple hours of Big Bang Theory.
I think they had Friends on in there at one point.
Yeah,
and of course then you get into like local syndication. There were a bunch, like The Simpsons always came on at 5 o'clock here. You would get an episode of The Simpsons, and I think Seinfeld came on at 5:30, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
or locally.
I remember at some point during those time slots, TNT, because TNT and TBS are tied together
a little bit.
Always had like the morning slot. It was like Charmed,
Angel, Supernatural, and there was something that was a Drama in the AM is what they called it. Yeah, I know.
And that was a block that I would watch because I'd be working at the paint store waiting for my afternoon classes to start.
Right.
I would go into work in the morning, turn that on, and that's what would be on in the background in the paint store while we were working.
And that is getting into that also was like, the way that I watched a lot of the shows that I wound up binging over time was because of syndication. I didn't actually watch like Buffy. Like I never watched Buffy when it was on the air. It was after it had been off for a little bit, and I just happened because FX used to show it. They would show it in the afternoon at 3 and 4 central time, or 2 and was it 2 and 3 or 3 and 4? I can't remember. But then if you missed they showed them sequentially. But if you missed that day for whatever reason, the next morning at 6 a.m., at 6 and 7, they showed those previous 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those, like, if you had not, you could actually watch 4 hours of Buffy over the course of about 8 hours or so, type thing. And then TNT showed Angel, had back-to-back of Angel in the morning. And then, and so that's how I watched those shows initially.
Yeah.
That's how I watched Dawson's Creek, because TBS used to have them on in the mornings.
And they would
show
Dawson's Creek.
They would show back to back.
That was one of those. A lot of those.
And so there was a lot of course, this was at a time before DVR. This was I still had VCR, and I would set the VCR. I would set everything, and then I would record these. I knew when I get home, I'm going to get to watch whatever the show it is that I'm going through. That's how I watched The Practice.
Yeah.
Because FX had it on in the mornings, and several other shows like that. And it was always nice to know I'm going to come home. Now, what sucked was if something happened, like the power went out, or, any number of things where it was like, no, it's just same thing in the summer of 2000 when I was still in my middle 20s and had zero care in the world whatsoever. I was unemployed for a few months, and I wound up watching the entire run of Beverly Hills 90210 because FX showed it in the afternoon, and I always knew I'm going to get 2 episodes of this in the afternoon, and I've got something I can do.
Yeah.
Again, it was comfort food. It was something I could look forward to that I didn't have to worry about anything else that was going on during that time period.
See, for me, it's MASH. MASH is
That's another great one, yeah.
Because that was something that I used to watch after
in the evenings after the news.
No, it was what I had a little TV in my room, and I would go to bed and I'd have MASH on watching it. When I fell asleep.
Yeah,
and then at midnight the TV station would cut off,
right.
and it would all of a sudden start hissing. I'd roll over and turn the TV.
MASH came on. It was double MASH. It came on after the news on our ABC affiliate Channel 2 here, WKRN, and that was and then I think Nightline came on after that or something, and then it was but that kind of stuff, like, again, it's and again, all of these shows that we're talking about here, I've seen countless times. Yeah. And a lot of it had to do because of the syndication of, like, I don't care. And I remember even not all that long ago, like in the last 6-7 years or something, plopping down for whatever reason one day on the couch and turning on the television, which is not something I do a whole lot anymore and haven't for a while. And I watch like live television so much, especially this kind of stuff, and flipping through the channels. And sure enough, on TBS, Seinfeld was coming on. And I remember laying on my couch as the sun was going down, watching 2 episodes of Seinfeld back to back, and thinking, God, this is just so nice to know that this is here. Yeah. Well, another one for me is Westerns. Yeah, movies.
Yeah, Western movies.
We'll get into movies in a minute. So,
but even like the TV shows, like the old Western TV shows, like Gunsmoke.
Oh, yeah.
Ponderosa. Bonanza. That's what I meant. Bonanza.
And all that Alias Smith and Jones, or Wild Wild West, or a
lot of the stuff that used to come on Nick at Night,
right?
Or
stuff that we just saw syndicated over the years. It was from way before us.
Gunsmoke.
What was it? Branded, or
Gun Will
the
Travel.
Rifleman.
The Rifleman.
Yeah,
you remember the old Have Gun Will Travel?
Have Gun Will Travel, or Tales of Wells Fargo, or any number of those things. Yeah, I know that it's which are all on like Grit TV now or something, and again, it's nice. It is. It's like my dad, on any given day, he's home a lot these days, and he's either watching all the DIY shows. I mean, just constantly watching them one after another, after another, after another, or he's watching. I finally kind of taught him how to use the DVR.
Okay.
I say kinda. He still hasn't fully figured it out. And, it's one of those things where he watches Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch and the Curse of Oak Island.
Oh, no.
And so it's one of those things which is, I think, hilarious, because I'm like, he's always like, I never heard about this stuff before. I'm like, really? Because I've known about Oak Island for 40 plus years at least. And Skinwalker I've known for at least a decade and a half. So I mean, it's like
more like 2 decades.
Yeah, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, welcome to the party. This is but
and all the ghost hunter shows.
Yeah, I never watched any of that stuff. But we could sit here and just list our syndicated television that we could watch over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, that's believe me, because
Supernatural's a big one for me.
Black 20 years ago, whenever our cable started carrying G4 Tech TV, before it just went full G4, before they really like ruined the show, the program and everything. I used that again. That would be one of those things where I'm like, what's this? I'm just going to sit here and watch these half-hour documentaries about video games or whatever it is for like the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, you're running a marathon of them? I'm here. I know every single one of these. I know about Pac-Man. I know about Nolan Bushnell. I know about all this stuff. I'm just going to sit here and watch all these all day long and come back a couple days later and sit down and same episodes. And I don't care. I'll sit here and watch them all.
Yeah.
This is
a couple that always used to get me that sometimes I go back to is the pool tournaments on like ESPN2
Okay.
or something like that, or World Series of Poker on TV. I'll be flipping through and
Just sit there and watch it.
and all of a sudden it's like, oh, poker game.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, you know,
And next thing I know, I've lost 2 hours.
I haven't done it in a long time, but a decade or so ago on the NFL Network, they used to always those top 10s.
Yeah.
I saw those multiple times, and I would sit there and yell at the TV and, you know, about, no, why is it so-and-so, or why the hell are they on here, or, you know, whatever. But I would sit and watch them every time, or America's Game, you know, the Super Bowl champions and all that kind of stuff. Is like, yeah, dude, this is all stuff, again, that I have seen God knows how many times, but it's such comfort food of knowing I can sit here and watch this and not have to deal with the rest of the world for a while. You know,
it's you kind of get to sink back into your own little world. It's like the perfect lounge chair to sit in and just kind of veg.
Metaphorical. Yeah, absolutely.
For
I
like
agree
a couple hours.
All right. We actually talked quite a bit about television, which I knew we would, you know.
But once again, movies. Westerns. A lot of the John Wayne stuff. Tombstone is a huge one for me. I know I've talked about this over and over and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, everybody take a shot, whatever. But if Tombstone is on, that's where I'm stopping for the next 2 hours. I love that movie. I can't really explain why.
It's fine.
That Val Kilmer character.
Him as Doc Holliday.
As Doc Holliday. I love that movie. If it's a John Wayne Western, Rio Bravo.
Rio Bravo's a great one.
Sons of Katie Elder.
That's a great one.
McClintock is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
You know,
it's on the list, but yeah, it's not at the top of mine. The Cowboys or, you know,
Cowboys
something like that would be up there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially, you know, you said Rio Bravo and Eldorado, which is essentially the same movie, but they're still great. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I have done that, like when AMC, back when it was actually showing
do a
movies.
weekend of John Wayne.
Yeah, and I literally would like see the same movie 3 times over a weekend of like, well, here it is. I know what I'm doing for the next hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, just
yeah. If I'm flipping through and there's a John Wayne cowboy movie on, my day is done. I'm watching this.
One for me back when I was in high school was Young Guns.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm not just talking about like I watched that movie a few times. There was a several month period in my life after that hit home video.
Yeah.
I literally would come home from school every day and plop down on the couch and watch that movie every day after school. I'm not joking when I'm saying when I was 15 years old, I could quote that movie from beginning to end. And being in that age and dealing with all the crap that you're dealing with when you're a teenager in high school, and then throw in a healthy dose of depression on top of it all.
Yeah.
And anxiety and everything else that comes along, you know, with it. That was the ultimate comfort food for me, of just sitting down and watching this movie. And
so if somebody walks into a room that you're in and goes, "Regulators!"
Yeah, mount up. Yeah, I know, exactly. You know, it's like, but I mean, I used to be able to quote that movie from beginning. Like, people at school would like start talking about that movie, and I would get over there and start talking to them, and they would like start trying to quote the movie. I'm like, no, and would literally like go through all the lines, and they were just like, dude, you seriously needed a hobby other than this or something, you know?
Yeah.
But that was one of those movies for me that just, you know, when I got older, it's a movie we covered on here that not a lot of people cared about that we covered it. The movie, or the documentary, The King of Kong.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that movie in theaters when it was released. Initially, it was 07, I think it was, you know. 07 or 08? I don't remember. But it was one of those things where, again, it was that familiarity of something something from my childhood, the Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Of me was on the verge, or was going through a divorce and really dealing with a whole lot of other stuff, a drinking problem, and again, back with the depression and the anxiety and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things that when I finally got a hold of that movie, once it finally hit DVD, I watched it all the time because it was that whole, the way that they frame the narrative now. There's some questions about what really happened, here and there and all that kind of stuff. And we can all agree that Billy Mitchell's a cheater, but it's still one of those things where it's that good versus evil in a lot of ways. And the guy that seems to have everything going for him, and the guy that just cannot catch a break no matter what happens in his life.
The underdog.
And grabbing onto this one thing. I can be better than anybody else at this, but I just got to get past this one asshole.
Yeah.
And it's
and his chicken sauce.
or his barbecue sauce, or chicken wing, his wing sauce,
Yeah,
but it's just kind of one of those things where it was like it was kind of like Clerks 2. It hit me they were kind of within that same time frame of like, no, I understand this way too well. And I watched that movie God knows how many times, in and around that time. But again, it was comfort food. It wasn't just that I was connecting with it. It was, I can just turn off the world for a couple hour, an hour and a half, 45 minutes, however long it is, and just not worry about anything else.
See,
that's just
The Crow is one of those.
That's a good one too.
And I think I saw that thing like 12 or 13 times in the theater. And that's not counting.
Home, dude. I watched it so many times. When I got it on video,
I've had it on VCR. I've had it on DVD. I've had it
Blu-ray.
on Blu-ray.
I know, it's like, and that was especially when I was given a copy for Christmas one year, and I used to fall asleep watching that movie every night. It was just to put it on and let it play in the background. I don't want to think about what happened today.
You keep telling me about me falling asleep during the movie at your house one night. I still don't know that I believe you.
Yeah, no, it happened. I got plenty of people who can back me up on that one. But yeah, those types of, again, just kind of going back. It's like I said, it's complete. We never really defined the actual like comfort food. Okay, here in the South, comfort food is a lot of carbs and starches, okay? And fried food, okay? It's that stuff that like it's comfort food is kind of that endorphin rush that just feels good, where it's just all right.
It's not just a Southern thing.
No, I know it's.
Everybody
I'm just saying
has their own
here,
comfort food. I mean, it can be like if you're sick.
We'll get it because I actually have food written down here. We'll talk about some stuff. Okay.
Okay. Let's go. I was sick this week.
Okay.
And my wife, when there was one night, she immediately came in and goes, "I know what you want for dinner." She's like, "You're sick. I know what you want." And I go, "What do I want?" She goes, "You want your cream of tomato soup, which is tomato soup made with milk, and grilled cheese sandwiches." And I was like, "Oh, that would be perfect."
Again, lots of starches.
Yeah.
Lots of carbs.
And that's just when I'm sick, that's what I want. I don't care how sick I am.
Yeah, I get it.
That's one of my comfort foods is tomato soup, cream of tomato soup, and grilled cheese sandwiches.
Probably my ultimate comfort food, just in general, is Mexican.
I can see that.
I mean, just like, and that started when I was in my early 30s somewhere. Where it was because there was
it started sooner than that because every time we would go, you would go, "Hey, you want to go get lunch in college?"
Well, okay. Actually, you know what? That is we would go up to El Rey Azteca.
Yeah.
I know.
Every time I go, "Hey, you want to go get some lunch?" And we would always end up at a Mexican restaurant.
We would end up at El Rey Azteca or Loco Lupe's, one of the two.
Yeah.
And now part of those was also the fact that they were running drink specials at the time.
For you, maybe.
For me, yes.
For me, it was the chips and salsa.
But that was the Loco Lupe's also, it was they ran karaoke and all this kind of stuff. And so that was kind of a hangout where a bunch of us used to go and eat Mexican food and drink margaritas and beer and whatever.
Do karaoke
and then make it home somehow. But yeah, that was there were multiple places around like that, but what I was getting to, that was like somewhere in my early 30s, whenever again things were not going so well in my life, there still is, it's still there, but it's run by somebody different. There was this little Mexican restaurant, like half a mile from my house.
Yeah, which one are we talking about?
I forget what it's called today.
Is it the one that's in the old Pizza Hut?
That's what I was going to. Yes,
okay.
One of the old pizza. It's been there for a little over 20 years now. Okay, and I used to eat there occasionally.
Yeah,
but about between 06 and 09, so 17 to 15 year or whatever, 15 years ago in that kind of area, 14 years ago, 14 to 17, whatever. That was kind of that and one other place was my kind of, it's on the way home. I'm just going to stop in there. It's happy hour. If I got out of work early enough, I was still catching the afternoon specials on food as well, type stuff.
Yeah.
And I would just sit there and eat way too much food, and either, depending on how my mood, either drink. They had like the big mugs of
the 64
beer,
ounce
of beer, and I would always get Dos Equis amber because I liked dark beer, or do the 2-for-1 margarita, depending. It was one of the two. It was one of those. All right. Even to the point where I quit drinking, they would still come around every once in a while and try to go ahead and set down whatever I was drinking. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done. This is like, because I'd been coming in there for so long, they knew. I sit down, and they would usually, one of the waitresses, the two waitresses that worked there in that time period, whoever section I was in would be, she was like, Dos Equis or margarita, which one tonight? That was just kind of the whatever, But it was more with the food than anything. And that was like, that became such a thing even, because when we started at the time, the Cinegeek podcast,
Yeah.
it was here local as well at a comic store a comic shop where we were doing it. And it literally was just like right down the road from that Mexican place. And so a lot of times I would go on Wednesdays, because we were doing on Wednesdays. I would go and pick up my comic books, go back to the restaurant and sit there and read them, and drink margaritas or whatever, and eat food and get something to eat, and then go to the comic shop, and then we would do the podcast. And and that was kind of our that was the thing. Luckily, those episodes are not still up, because some of them got really dicey because I sat there too long drinking margaritas and stuff, and then decided to go live on a microphone. And
yeah, you sober on a microphone is
I know. You can only imagine what the drunk version of me on a microphone is. But it was just, that was my routine. It was my comfort. This is the thing that this. One of the other things there was, and before that became the routine, there was another place that had been around Nashville forever. It was this little place over in Inglewood, like just over past Bradley Park. But I know anyone who live around here, unless you live here, you know what we're talking about. But it was like on a main road heading towards downtown Nashville. And you get past this one, it's called Bradley Parkway, that goes all the way around the city.
Kinda.
No, it goes all the way around the city. Even at that time, they had opened it up to where it went all the way around.
Okay.
But it was this little place. It was a drive-through place. It was called Es Fernando's. And it was a little drive-through.
Is it on the left? Going towards Nashville?
Yes. Right inside of...
I remember that place.
Yeah, okay. Well, they moved in, I think it was 2005 or 2006 or something like that. And they moved back closer in towards my side of town. And the funny thing is that they reopened where the Taco Bell used to be, like in the old building before they built the new one.
Okay.
And I actually had to sit down as well. But I used to always just go in there. I would just always go through the drive-thru.
Yeah.
They had some of the best salsa I have ever had in my life. I wish to God that place was still around, because I would go in and I would get their chicken tacos, which also amazing. And get their chicken soft tacos. I'd get like 2 or 3, 4 of them, depending on how hungry I was, and a bag of chips and salsa. And I would go home. And of course, I usually had beer in the fridge or whatever, but I would just like veg out and watch TV or whatever it was and eat that stuff. And that was the best thing ever. Again, of just being like, no, I will go in my room over here where all my stuff is, away from everything else, and watch TV and not be bothered for the next however long until I decide to come out.
Yeah.
Type stuff. And then they closed, and that went away, and I lost my comfort, and I wound up going to the other restaurant for the longest time.
Which I've eaten at that one with you. It is pretty good.
It is. It's different now than it was.
Yeah.
It is. It's a different menu. It's different cooks. It's different everything.
I actually prefer your other Mexican restaurant.
Las Maracas.
Las Maracas up on the hill.
Yeah. That one started over in East Nashville, and then they opened this one over here about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, I like
in there.
I like them a lot.
Yeah, it might have been a little longer ago now that I think about it. Yeah, they're good, but that just that was there are other. I mean, like these days, I don't do Mexican food as much, but I will say this, and it's pretty, and you've had it, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going. Little Caesars deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
I don't generally like Little Caesars pizza, but for whatever reason, one time I was like, if I'm going to, all right, look, this is easy and cheap to go through the drive-through and just pick up. And that was at that time, you could still get the deep dish through the drive-through without having to call ahead or anything. And I picked one up one day. I was like, you know what? This is actually really good.
Yeah.
And that kind of became my, hey, look, it's right around the corner from my house. I can use the app to order and then just drive through and then pick it up. I pay through the app, all that kind of stuff. Just drive through, pick it up, and then go back home.
Yeah.
Type thing. And that's kind of become the thing. I got you eating them. My son eats them. My dad likes them better than any of the other stuff now and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's disgusting cheap pizza, but it just tastes good and it makes my belly feel good.
Yeah.
So it's
you're not wrong, which is why I'm glad there's not a Little Caesars anywhere close to where I live at.
Because pizza was never one of those like, I've always kind of been like, I like pizza, but I was never like, I got to have pizza all the time. But for whatever reason, over the last, like, say, 4 years or so, that has become there are quite a few times when my son's with me, I'm like, dude, no. I'll ask him what he wants. He's like, I want pizza. I'm like, no. We've already had pizza twice this week. We're not doing it again.
Yeah. No, pizza is one of mine. I'll flat admit it. If my body could take it, I would probably eat pizza all the time. I just... with my diabetes, the carbs, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I know. And that's especially since from last year, started watching more of that stuff after my doctor's visit where we got into it. And I basically said, I'm not going on all this medication. I'll prove that I don't have to, and have done a whole lot better since then and dropped weight and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like, pizza, especially that pizza, that Little Caesars deep dish pizza is one of those things where like, okay, I can do this every 2 or 3 weeks. I can't do this every week, and I especially can't do it more. And so it's
especially if I could find a place that does a decent Chicago deep dish.
Well, that's the other thing. Pizza Hut's been trash for decades.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, they're like
Domino's was never good.
They've kind of switched places.
I don't know. But
the Domino's thin crust is actually pretty good.
Well, for the longest time, my go-to pizza was Papa John's.
Oh, they're not.
And they are terrible now. Yeah. I mean, they are terrible and expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my goodness, are they expensive? And so, like, I'm glad that I found a cheap alternative.
Yeah.
But I like you said, I have to watch it. I cannot do this a lot.
See, where I'm at, we've got a couple of local places to where I don't really do chain pizza anymore. It's, we've got a place in Pleasant View, north of
local,
it's local. We just had a second one move in called Firecrackers.
Okay.
That I haven't tried yet, but I'm going to give them a shot at some point. We've got 2 really good pizza places over in Ashland City now. Mm-hmm. And one of them is actually like a little Italian restaurant. You can go in there and sit down.
Well, that's cool.
And it's like family style Italian. It's really good. It's called Vicolo's.
Cool.
And we'll have to go there at some point.
Yeah, it sounds good.
But Italian, that's another one.
Yeah,
Italian.
And you know what was another one, just real quick, that I've abandoned for multiple reasons?
What's that?
Fazoli's.
Oh, yeah, that's not good Italian.
Well, I know, but you know what? They used to be good fast food Italian, and they were cheap for the longest time. And then over time, they weren't cheap anymore, and the quality kept falling off and falling off. One of the things that was so great about them was the breadsticks.
Yeah.
That was kind of they were free, they were unlimited, and it was like blah blah blah, and they did the thing that I like with breadsticks, where they just just coated them with garlic butter.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, give me. I don't want the stupid dry breadsticks, garlic breadsticks. Yeah, I want them sopping wet with.
You want the soggy ones.
Yeah, and that was great. Of course, they were also about 300 calories a piece.
Yeah,
and I could do that, but I noticed, especially over the last 2 years or so, the quality of their food is terrible, to the point to where their breadsticks don't even taste like bread anymore. Like I'm like, I don't know what this is, but this is not bread.
Yeah.
This is not bread. And their spaghetti, and that kind of stuff is the same. Where I'm like, this does not taste like food.
Yeah.
This tastes like what vegans try to convince you tastes like bacon. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like, no, I've had bacon before. Do not try to convince me that this is bacon. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's what this is like. No, I have had spaghetti and breadsticks before. Don't try to convince me that that's what this is, because it is not.
Quit putting
marinara
sauce over fiberglass.
Yeah,
and serving
pretty
it
much. I mean, it's just nasty. But yeah, Italian food again. That's I'm there. Lasagna, all that kind of stuff. Again, lots of starches, lots of carbs, mountains of taste. So
yes, seasoning, lots and lots of seasoning.
Okay, music.
Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here.
See, that did not take long at all, did it?
That is the one album that if I'm having a really, really rotten day, I'm going in my office and I'm dropping the needle on that and I'm turning the lights out and I'm just sitting there listening to it.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way with Momentary Lapse of Reason.
So Pink Floyd in general
Pink
for you.
Floyd in general for me.
Yeah. For the last... Well, I won't say for the full time, but you remember when I worked at CD Warehouse the first time? Like the first 2
could I
years.
forget?
Okay. If you walked into CD Warehouse and I was working, what was going to be playing more than likely? What album was going to be playing?
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, believe me, everybody else could name this one that knows me that came in there during that time period.
I'm going to say it was a U2 album.
No.
What was it?
Counting Crows.
Oh, that's right.
Live from New York City, across the wire, live from New York City.
That was your Counting Crow era.
That album just celebrated 25 years. It is by far my favorite live album of all time. And what it was, for those of you who don't know, in 97, when Counting Crows were on the Covering Satellites tour, they did two things for MTV Networks. They did an episode of Storytellers on VH1, and then they did Live from the 10 Spot on MTV one night, where it was they broadcast a live from New York.
Yeah.
From the Hammerstein Ballroom. Okay. So what they did is that MTV with them recorded both of those and then put out a double album. One of them was the Storytellers. It was just the music. It wasn't all the stories that they told in between. It was just the music of them playing the songs.
Yeah.
And then they put out an edited version of the Live from the 10 Spot. And when I say that, because I watched it when it was live on MTV, and they cut a couple of songs for the album.
Yeah.
And which nothing that really was egregious or whatever. But those two, and really it was kind of one of those, like, one of them, the disc was red, one of them, the disc was blue. It was always one of those things that, like, hey, if you're just kind of having a blah day, you can put on the blue disc, which was the Live from the Hammerstein Ballroom, okay? And it was like, okay, cool. If it was ever a red disc night, that was not a good night to be around. That was one of those, I am really not loving the world or anything in my life right now. I'm going to listen to this and have a few drinks and just feel sorry for myself for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got to address something.
Yeah.
We've got Alan, the U2 Joshua Tree years. Yeah.
Well, we have Alan, the U2 years. Let's put it that way. Okay.
And then we have Alan, the Counting Crow years.
They overlap. They overlap quite a bit,
Yeah,
actually.
they do.
The two bands that I have seen in concert the most are those two bands.
I remember when you were doing your Grateful Dead thing with the Counting Crows.
I saw Counting Crows a lot.
Yeah.
I saw U2 a lot. But yeah, I saw both of them a lot. And again, they both released albums that caught me at a time in life.
Yeah.
Multiple albums that caught me through era of my life, So there were, that kind of stuff. I can't say that I've really liked either one of bulk of anything they've done over the last, let's say, 15 years. So it's kind of
I haven't really dug anything they've done past Recovering the Satellites.
Yeah, see,
my favorite album from them is still the first one.
August and Everything Out is a great album.
That album
Recovering the Satellites
has a vibe to it that just does not.
I agree. Recovering the Satellites was different.
Well, you had a different drummer at that point.
Well, but they also...
It was a totally different vibe.
I know you want to believe that the drummers changed the thing, but the music itself was different than from the first album. I mean, just in general.
Yeah.
They're actually, what's really funny about them, as we get into the weeds on this, I hadn't planned on it. If you look at their first, the who played on their first album, okay? Mm-hmm. It was more than just the drummer that was different on the second album.
Yeah.
When they recorded August and Everything After, Dave Emmergluck played all the guitar, like all the lead guitar and everything on it. Okay, well, he didn't really want, he was a friend of Adam Duritz, and he recorded, he went in and recorded with them, but he said he didn't want to be in the band because he was already in another band. And so when they went out on a tour, they hired, and of course now I'm blanking on his name, Dan Vickery, okay? Mm-hmm. And he wound up, he's still with them. Like he became their lead guitar player after that, but he did not play on that first album.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the guy that played drums for them in that first album, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. He was, but he went on to play for Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
After he basically left, when he left them, he went to play with Third Eye Blind. But Ben Mize, who came in after him, played through, he played on the next 4 or 5, I think the next 4 albums or something like that. And then you had and then the funny thing is that by the time they got to This Desert Life, Dan Emmergluck came back and played with them. So now they were like a 7-piece. They were a 3-guitar front. Yeah. And it was like, oh, okay, so he came back to this, type thing. It was weird. Like, again, we're getting into the weeds and all this kind of stuff, but it was one of those things. They transformed quite a bit over those first 3 albums.
Yeah.
And I think those first 3 albums are their best work as a whole. When you got into the 4th album, Hard Candy, there's about half of a good album there. No, there's about half of a good album there, okay? Some songs I really love to this day are off that album, but then there are songs that I will never listen to again that are on that album.
Yeah.
And then after that was, I think it was Saturday Nights and Sunday Mornings was the one after that. And there's really only one song on there that I like, and the rest of them I just really do not care about whatsoever. And it's kind of been that way with everything since then, where it's like, oh, I kind of like that song, and I don't care about any of the rest of this, you know. But yeah, that album though, Across the Wire, live from New York City, is one of those that even now, if I'm in certain moods, that's what I will go and throw on and listen to from beginning to end. And again, it depends on what kind of night it is, on whether or not it's the Storytellers or the live from the 10 spot. So
no, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
So, but I could go on and on and on about certain types of music. Usually it's songs, or it's playlists that I've made in the last 15 years or so of songs that, like, this stuff just really, I can go through my phone right now and start and go through all the many playlists that are in there. And each one of them is comfort food for a different day that I'm having. So
yeah, no, I get it.
I'm glad we kind of got that. Do you have anything you want to, before we go into this next last one that I have written down here of what I consider comfort food?
I don't think so.
Okay. I have podcasts listed on here.
I don't have.
Okay. And when I say podcast, I'm not talking about going down and listing off my favorite podcasts or the ones that I listen to all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking about podcasts in general. Okay.
Okay.
In 2006, when I started a new job, I was in a car a lot.
Yeah.
For my job, I had running paperwork all over the place, so across a couple of states, type stuff. I wound up buying my first iPod, and because I had all this music, but I couldn't take it with me. Well, bought the iPod, ripped everything in the computer, put it in there. I bought the biggest one they had at the time, which I think was a 60 gig or something like that.
I think my first one was an 80.
Oh, you bought one after me then.
Yeah.
But it was that was the biggest one that was available at the time.
Yeah.
And, I ripped everything in there. And I was always like, what is this podcast setting they keep talking about? I don't know what this is, blah, blah, blah. After a couple of months, I was like, all right, let's go check this out. And I just kind of started looking, and I started finding podcasts.
Yeah.
And then that became I stopped listening to music when I was driving in the car. It became podcast. When I would have to go into a government building to go drop off paperwork or pick up paperwork or this, that, or whatever, I would have my earbuds in and I was listening to podcasts as I was going through all that stuff and waiting in waiting rooms and this and that, and blah, 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 and everything. And that started in 2006. I still listen to an ungodly amount of podcasts. Yeah, and it is very, very comforting being like, okay, this is what I'm listening to right now. Also, during that time, I can also say that sports talk radio was comfort food for a while, because it was one of those things that I would listen to the local, whatever it was, and I knew from this time to this time, these people are on the air, and then over here, these people are here, and this and that. It was kind of one of those things you could like do your day by all that stuff,
Yeah.
And it was a very, okay, I know who's going to be on in the morning. I know who I'm listening to, starting at from 10 until 2 or whatever it was, or 10 until 1, and I know who's coming on from 1 to 4. And I know who's going to be on from 4 until I get off work. And eventually, like I said, I got into the podcast and that kind of stuff went away. But I even found that in other, like a lot of times whenever I was working like the family business, we do a lot of remodeling and that kind of stuff, keeping up our own rental property and all this and that kind of stuff. And so you wind up, it's one of those things that the radio's on. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I know who's on from this time to this time, and from this time to this time. And
well, if you're going to kind of get into radio, a couple that were comfort food for me while they were still on, one was Metal Shop, which we've kind of talked about.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, but there was another one that was on I guess it was the classic rock station called Rewind, and it was this real deep voice.
I remember that. It was Westwood One.
Yeah, Westwood One show. And every weekend, those were the two shows that I would listen to. And I still try to go back and find,
I'm sure that I know that Metal Shop, there is a website that has a bunch of that stuff on there.
But Rewind, you can't find it anywhere.
I wonder if Wes might go look at Westwood One and see if maybe that was it. But I remember hearing some Rewind. I discovered some stuff. That
And it was always going back and listening to old bands, and digging deep into.
A lot of times have interviews with the people in the band, or a band member or a singer or whatever it was.
Man, that dude had golden pipes.
Yeah, I know.
It was just like, I wish I had his voice.
But that was what I was kind of getting with podcasts. It was like, and it still is a little bit where it's like, I know certain podcasts drop on certain days, or even some of them that I listen to that are daily. I know about what time they're going to drop. So it's kind of one of those things that a lot of times, there's one in particular that I usually listen to while I'm laying in bed trying to go to sleep. It's like, I know it comes every night. It's going to be there unless something happens. They don't wind up not recording that night or whatever. And it's one of those, it's like, fine, by the time I hit bed, it's going to be on my phone and I'm going to put it in my or my earbuds, and I'm going to be listening to this.
Is that your Bigfoot podcast?
No. I haven't listened to that one. And I bounce in and out with that one. Like, I'll go months of listening to it, and then I'll drop it for a while, but then I'll come back to it months later.
So what's the one you're listening to when you're going to sleep?
It's a political podcast. I'm not getting into it.
Oh, okay.
But I've even recently been doing the same thing with YouTube channels, like certain YouTube channels that what did they do today? Because, I subscribe to them or whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that a lot of times I don't really watch the channel so much as it'll be on and I'm listening to it while I'm laying in bed, as opposed to because it's, but there are certain things. It's like, oh, I know that this is going to be on the Y-Files is going to drop on Thursday night, or this or that, type stuff. And it's just like, okay, cool. it's comforting to know that that's there, that it's going to be something that, again, for half hour to 45 minutes, I can just kind of focus on this and not focus on anything else.
I get that.
Yeah.
I've actually been subscribing to some new YouTube channels here lately. As you know, I recently got my motorcycle endorsement, and I'm kind of shopping around for a bike.
And you watch the motors, and I will do that sometimes too. I'll just watch these guys talking about or they're riding, and they're talking about safety or do this or that or whatever, or how to or even like motorcycle repair stuff or whatever. I do the same thing. I'm like
there's this Jerry Palladino, I think, with Learn to Ride, and he's like an old ex-police motorcycle cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched him.
That does a lot of the slow exercise stuff,
right?
How to take a big heavy bike and actually maneuver it.
Yeah, all the slow maneuver stuff. Yeah.
There's another guy that does a channel called Professional Monkey.
I've seen him too.
That does motorcycle repair.
I'd say go check out Low Country Harley.
Okay.
I mean, I forget where they're out of, but that's actually the name of the shop, is the Harley shop. And this guy who has been repairing Harley Davidsons for close to 40 years and working in the shop, and he'll go through, this is how, you do this and that and all this kind of stuff. And he'll do it for different bikes, just like it's really kind of cool because they are a Harley Davidson service department.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, look, I've been working on these things forever. This is how you do it. This is how you can do it at home.
There's another guy out there he goes by Black Dragon, and he's actually a member of the Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club.
Oh, really?
That you actually see in the movie Biker Boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That club showed up in that movie, but he's actually a member of that club.
Yeah.
And he talks about, kind of motorcycle culture and club culture and all of that. So that's interesting to watch.
That kind of stuff. I mean, those are for me. Those are things that I will pop in and out of from time. Like it. A lot of times it's like whatever's on my front page on YouTube. If there's something about that, I'll pop over there and watch it, or at least watch part of it or something. I don't necessarily Low Country. I do subscribe to because I'm always like, okay, how do I work on this thing? But there's a whole bunch of others. Just more than I could watch at any given time, but they're all over the place. I mean, they are all over the place, and the podcasts are kind of the same way too. I will have my, my politics podcast that I listen to. I'll have my, my pop culture stuff that I listen to. I'll have my supernatural stuff that I listen to. I'll have my whatever random genre of fandom that I'm into that I'll listen to, that kind of stuff where it's just this stuff over, like just spread out over just a wide range of things. And I'll also say this, recording this podcast. I have what? Oh yeah, that's Doc Harley. Yeah.
That's him.
That's him. Yeah. Doc Harley with Low Country. Yeah.
Subscribed.
There you go. Doing the podcast that I did prior to this one.
Yeah.
Was one of those things that when I moved into actually being a podcaster as opposed to just consuming podcasts, which I did for a couple of years before, it was one of those things where I had the opportunity to be on one. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever and enjoyed it up until right before my son was born. No. Yeah, that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing that got me off that podcast. Is like, look, I'm getting ready to have this tiny human being that's going to need around the clock care for ever, apparently. But especially for those first, that first year and a half, 2 years,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things is like, I can't always be here. And if I can't be here every week, I don't want to be a pop in once a month or, once every couple month type person, Yeah. And so I just, it was, and they were moving in a different direction. It was a good time to call it quits. And then whenever we did this, it was like, oh no, I've got this back again. Now, unlike that one, it was a weekly podcast and we were recorded weekly. The day changed over those 5 years that I was on the show. It would start off, I think it was originally on Thursday nights, and then it was Wednesday, and then it was Monday at one point. It was Tuesday at one point. It was just kind of because stuff changed in life, And so it was like, all right, that's fine. But I always knew that this is coming up every week and I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I know that every couple of weeks we're going to get together and record a few episodes, and then I get to sit down and edit and do all this kind of stuff. And again, it's something, it's like, it's very comforting. Right now, as we're sitting here, it's like, what? It's 7:30, almost 7:30. We're in early late July.
we're in the third week.
Yeah, and this year July's got 5 weekends, so we're actually in the fourth weekend of the month now. And we're sitting here in this wonderful studio that we have here in my new place, with the windows, not the windows open, but the blinds open, and the sun is almost down completely. And this is comfort like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Just being in here, and it's part of the reason I don't think I ever posted anything in our Discord about when this room was done, like the colors I painted it and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you're still kind of working on it.
Well, but I'm talking about these colors, okay?
Yeah.
I chose this particular color. It is a
pumpkin orange.
It is a pumpkin orange, very much so. It's a light pumpkin orange, and I did this on purpose because this is very calming. It also very much simulates an autumn feel.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I have one more on this. There is nothing more comforting to me than late September, early October, walking outside and it being about 45 degrees.
Yeah.
With a nice cool breeze and leaves falling, turn colors and they're starting to fall, and that kind of stuff. And just
it's the best time of the year.
Being there and not worrying about anything else in the world whatsoever. Maybe sitting on my front porch, maybe out next to, sitting on next to my fire pit or something like that. Not necessarily with the fire pit going, but just sitting out there while the sun's still up, but it's down in the sky,
And generally there's a wafting of wood smoke.
Absolutely. Somewhere. And so that, when I got to this new place and said, this is going to be our podcast studio, I wanted to try to replicate that the best I could year round.
Yeah.
So, yes, podcasting has been a tremendous comfort for me over the last 15 plus years for a lot of reasons. Whether it was listening to or recording them myself, because it's just kind of one of those, it's that old friends mentality. Even if you don't actually know the people on the other end of it, it's these voices have been coming into my head for years, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Been coming, just like.
And I know I've been gone from the Discord server for a little bit because real life is just
and there's been a lot of real life
whipping my tail.
And
but I enjoy visiting with those folks when I get the chance.
Mm-hmm. I was glad that here recently Miss So came back on again.
Yeah,
I know she's
been
dealing with some stuff.
She's been dealing with real life too.
And it's one of those that I had not heard from her in a while anywhere, and she also just popped up one night. And I was tremendously happy.
Yeah,
to know that she's doing as okay as she can be right now.
Yeah.
So that was...
Hang in there. We're thinking about you.
Exactly. And so, yeah, but everybody has whatever. You know what? Something we didn't even bring up that's very much a comfort food.
What's that?
Coffee.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Waffle House could go in that as many times as we have sat at Waffle House. The food itself, but also just sitting at Waffle House, drinking coffee, and talking about whatever BS is just whatever on. BS, and that kind of stuff. So, that is. I know everybody has theirs. When this episode drops, I want to ask our audience to do a couple things for us. The first one, if you're not yet on our Discord, go. I know Discord can be a little scary at first if you're not already on it, that kind of thing. But it really, you'll get the hang of it very quickly, and it's okay to be a lurker. It is fine to be a lurker.
Absolutely,
but it is also one of those things where we do have a good community over there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That could be bigger and greater. and I'm not necessarily for numbers, but just a greater community in general.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to go. There's a link in the show notes. Go.
At least come over and check it out.
Check it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay. It doesn't cost you anything. It's, whatever. It's free. Exactly. But the other thing is that if you do that, or when you do that, those of us who are already on there, Dave and I probably not so much since we've just spent over an hour talking about this, but tell us about those things that are comforting to you.
Yeah.
What is it? What are those things? Make the posts on the podcast tab or whatever. It's like, look, this is what I do when I need to just go and not think about the world for a while, because we all do it in some shape, way, or form.
Hey, and you may give somebody else a new avenue to
absolutely
go and check something out.
And not only that, but one of the things that I learned in my 40s. I know I'm barely hanging on to it still, but I'm still hanging on to them barely.
I lost the 40s.
Is that talking about the things in your life that mean something to you in whatever capacity it is with someone else is tremendously helpful for both of you. It helps you to say, hey, when things are not going great for me, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And it helps the person who is listening to you to be like, that gives me a little more insight to who you are. And then they can turn around and say, hey, whenever things aren't going great in my life, or I just need to chill out for a while, this is what I do. And again, you get that back and forth.
Yeah.
And maybe, because at some point, a lot of these things that we talked about on here, I don't do any longer for one reason or another. Some of them is very good that I don't do them any longer,
Yeah.
I won't go into it. But Dave and our friend Corey have both had to sit and listen to me run down the things that have like, hey, when I'm doing this, and this, things are not going good in my life. And they're like, please stop telling me about these things. I'll tell you one that I didn't put on here that I will share.
Okay.
Video games.
Yes.
Okay. And very specific video games. I know that since, I don't know, for close to 20 years now, whenever things were just not going great, it started off initially with NCAA football, whatever year it was, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Eventually it went to Madden as well. And it's still, for me, Madden, because there's not a new there hadn't been a new NCAA football in years.
Okay.
Of when I really just need to nope out for a while, I will go and sit down and start playing that. And it's not necessarily, for me, it's not necessarily about playing the game itself. It's all the other stuff. It's the trades and the scouting for the next season, for the and all this kind of stuff. And I especially used to love that with NCAA football, because there was so much you could do without ever actually playing a game.
Yeah.
It's busy. It's like everything that has nothing to do with actually playing the game. But I can lose hours going in and going and advancing through an entire season, let it advance, where it advances to the playoffs, and see if, my team that I put together actually made the playoffs or whatever. And then getting into the off season and then going through, okay, who am I going to keep? Should I trade this person? Should I do this? Or okay, let's go look at the scouting for the draft and this and that. And then basically, get through all that stuff and then just hit advance to playoffs again and let it go all the way through and see where that runs out. And wind up doing 10 or 12 seasons of that type of stuff over way too long of a time that I should have been sitting in front of the TV doing that. Or fantasy draft. That's one of the things I really love, of whoever the current, that current year, and this. I know the way I'm setting up this franchise is I'm doing fantasy draft, and then just seeing what the best team I can draft out of who's available.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've got several, and I'm going to have to dig through my boxes of stuff and see if I can find my Atari 2600 again, because that one for me was, for a lot of years was my kind of comfort video game, with Asteroids and Pac-Man. And
there was
Circus.
Stuff, especially on the, God, I cannot tell you how many times I played through Super Mario Brothers,
Oh yeah, you were a
first
Nintendo,
one.
You were a Nintendo kid.
And The Legend of Zelda and several other games like that. Dragon Warrior. I would play that like once a year. I know it took a long time, but I would play through that game like once a year. But then whenever I got the Sega Genesis, again, I cannot tell you how many times I played through those first 3 Sonic games. Over and over and over and over and over and over
So
again.
I never had the Genesis. I wanted the Genesis because I was such a Mortal Kombat guy.
And the Mortal Kombat was the other two. I would sit and just like go through an entire tournament, and stuff. Yeah.
When I finally got my first PlayStation, the game that I kept going back to was the Tony Hawk. Yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
That we can go into a serious deep dive into that stuff.
Right now, the only video game system that I have hooked up is my original. I've got the original Xbox.
Yeah, I've been looking for one of those and you can't find them.
And the 2 games that I go back and forth between when I've had a really super bad day is Tiger Woods Golf and
That was such a fun game back then.
Need for Speed Underground.
I was never big on the racing games, but yeah, that was a good one.
It was, and it's more about building the cars, and having to race to get the money and trying to get good to race, and actually then building the car and setting the car up for the certain races and all that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, again, we could probably do a whole episode about that, comfort video games. But yeah, it's the same thing. That's I know I really, really fell into Skyrim when that game came out.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. I spent hundreds of hours on that stupid game.
The only video game, James Bond video game that I ever played.
No, Skyrim. Elder Scrolls.
Oh.
No, not Skyfall.
Yeah, okay.
Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim.
I never got to play that.
Oh, my God. I spent hundreds of hours on that game. I kind of did the same thing with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
When the Switch was when it came out on that. I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom since it was released, a couple months ago. But I'll be honest, it's like that was one of those games I sat down and I played quite a bit the first night, and then I played a little more the next night, and then I came back like a week later and I played, several hours one night. And it's just kind of been like in between those sessions keeps getting longer and longer. And I just have not enjoyed it as much as I did Breath of the Wild. It's essentially the same thing. I mean, of course, it's different, but it's that same style, that open world, more of the the RPG type thing, which I really love. But for whatever reason, I'm just not as invested in this one as I was that first one. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of it was something completely different for Zelda.
Yeah,
and it was really cool. And also kind of coming off that Skyrim from just a couple years prior of me playing so much of it. It's like, oh, this is kind of the same thing, but it's this character that I've known for 30 plus years, and I really love it.
Yeah, I get it.
And now it's kind of like, oh, no, see, I've played through that game at least 1.5 more times since then, and now I'm playing something else that picks up directly after that one ends, but I think I've played through it so much before that I really don't care so much about this adventure, Who knows? Also, it's like I've said many times, the older I get, the more I like the idea of video games as opposed to actually playing video games.
Yeah.
So when I find myself in a place where I am obsessively playing video games, I know my life is not going well. So. And we will not get into any other things on that list. So.
Yeah, let's leave that alone. There's no need to give our listeners
really
nightmares.
Is none. There is none. So yeah. Anyways, but like I was saying, go check out the Discord. Share your,
Talk to us.
Talk to us. Talk to each other. Don't just talk to us. Talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you guys to do is, if you have not already, subscribe to the show through whatever aggregator you use, okay? Whether it's Apple or whether it's Overcast, or whether it's Podbean, or whether it's Podcast Guru, or whatever it is that you're using. Google is, I think, our number 2. Like Google Podcasts is our number 2 on there, and that kind of stuff. Fine, do it. Podcast Addict, whatever it is that you're using, do it. That's awesome. We appreciate it. But whichever one, here's the other little thing, whichever one of those that you're doing, also please go and rate us and leave a review.
Please.
Because that helps tremendously to like get us up charts and stuff to where other people find this so that we can grow that community. And I know we have not asked you guys to do this very often, but it's something that we really have decided we really need to do. I mean, we've got a good community, but it would be awesome if we could grow that community into something more. And when I say something more, that does not necessarily mean more listeners or anything else. It just means taking the community that is already great and making it greater.
Yeah.
So I guess on that,
I
almost segued us seamlessly into the end of this show.
I'll beg if it helps, please.
Dave will beg.
Please.
I will not.
I have no shame in my game.
Yeah, well, so guys, thank you so much for enduring all of this, and
I hope you enjoyed it.
I know we kind of rambled, but I told you up front this was going to be rambly, and that's where we are. So, for the Project Gen X podcast, I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith.
I am the other guy, Big Dave,
and we thank you immensely for sharing this time with us every week, because
every other week.
Well, usually it's every other week. I guess that's where we are now. We're going to get back to every week eventually, but for sharing this time with us every episode. How about that?
There we
Sound
go.
Better?
I like that.
And we really do appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. And we will be back with something I think is going to be divisive in this room.
And now for something completely different.
So guys, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Biscuit, seriously, calm down. You can hear Biscuit just off mic. It's like, just calm down, buddy. You're okay. I know you are the ultimate comfort food, because you'll come over and snuggle and give kisses and all that kind of stuff and just lay down all day long. I know. Now it's your turn, Dave. Love on him. Love on him.
All right.
Comfort him.
This is going to make my dog so jealous.
If you guys could see this,
home.
it's hilarious. He's just like nudging Dave's hand, like, love on me. So